Yo, what is good, y'all? It's your boy Reactz back with another reaction. Let's get into it. We got CJ the Champ. It's been a minute. Miyamoto Musashi exposed the Baki universe. I don't watch Baki. Let's get into it.
In case these niggas really want the fucking work. Red is what I see. Savage bout the only thing I motherfucking speak. Bed 22, Leo brain with a fucking lead. They ain't gotta speak cause Johnny know what he gon' see. Cause the type of time I'm on, you see an angel when you blink. Top, 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 hey, top. Ride around with my top. Ride around with my top. Yeah, he got a 6'4", but I keep.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen. Today, this is gonna be one of them videos where I'ma just keep it a buck with you. What you're about to witness is 30 minutes of pure, unadulterated, nonsensical chaos that is going to make absolutely no sense and have you wondering, how the hell is even half of this shit possible? And my answer to you is, I don't know either. I'm just here to show you the most insane depiction of a real life historical figure that they put in the anime. So, without further ado.
Wow, I like it.
Now, as we know in the world of Baki, there's a lot of absurd shit that happens in this universe that makes absolutely no sense.
I'm not even gonna say nothing to that. My mind is telling me no.
I mean, the last time I covered a Baki character, I was talking about a butt booty naked resurrected 7-foot caveman.
Yep.
But I ain't gonna lie, I didn't think it could get crazier than that. I mean, what could possibly top resurrecting a primitive nigga that
all it takes is for they had to learn like Ki. Now they Dragon Ball level on some bullshit.
fought dinosaurs for fun? Well, how about resurrecting the greatest swordsman in human history? They somehow figured out a way to resurrect Musashi Miyamoto, the most legendary samurai in history. A nigga who went undefeated in duels with a whopping record of 60-0. And these are not anime numbers, these are actual real numbers. If you step to this nigga back in the feudal Japan era, there was a 100% chance your ass was dying. Bro was not the dude to be fucked with. Now, how they resurrected him is one of the most absurd things I've ever seen. They went to his grave and dissected his spinal tissue so they could make a clone of him. And when the clone was finally fully grown, they got this crusty ass old lady who could summon spirits of the dead to somehow summon his soul, then smooch the nigga to transfer his soul into.
Fuck? And how the fuck does that work? Huh? Alright.
To the clone's body, bringing him back to life. Now, does that make a lick of sense? No. But guess what? It's Baki, so who gives a f? Crazy stuff happens in this universe every day. This is normal at this point. Now, when bro woke up and they took him out into the world, he basically had the Captain America waking up out the iceberg moment, but 10 times more brutal, because Cap was just asleep for 70. Musashi's been dead for 400 years. So this dude thought he was on a whole different planet. This nigga was terrified of riding in a car and was in complete shock when he rode an elevator for the first time. He had no clue what the hell was going on because the world just completely changed for him. But one thing that didn't change was that in this era, niggas still love to fight, and Musashi loved to fight. So with that being said, let's start to go through this gauntlet that this man ran. Because this dude damn near embarrassed the entire cast. So the first man to get embarrassed by Musashi was Mr. Sabu. And he was known as the best swordsman in modern day Japan. So his first fight was basically the strongest swordsman in history versus the strongest swordsman of today. Sukuna versus Gojo type shit. However, the way Musashi did Mr. Sabu was so absurdly ridiculous. It made all the modern day swordsmen look like a bunch of frauds walking around with butter knives, because Musashi beat this man without even lifting a finger. What? You see, when dude walked up to him, he quite literally felt this nigga cut him down and kill him a total of 7 times in his mind. Dude lost the fight before it even started. He knew he was cooked, so he just dead ass gave up. And he straight up admitted that if he actually went through with this fight, he would have basically just thrown his life away for nothing. So after Mr. Sabu gave up, Musashi decided to add more salt to the wound and embarrass this dude to a degree of no recovery. He asked Mr. Sabu if he could see his swords so he could inspect them. So when he gave Musashi his swords and he started to inspect them, he basically told Mr. Sabu,
"This shit trash."
As expected, these swords are utter garbage, my nigga. Nigga. So he ends up swinging his swords, and they both end up breaking because they could not withstand the sheer
Damn. Immediately embarrassed.
force of Musashi's swing. And after he broke his swords, he told him, "These cannot be called swords, young one. How do you expect these toys to kill someone when they can't even survive a simple swing?" And after bro heard that, his whole life basically just flashed in front of his eyes, because this was the moment in his life where he just straight up learned that he wasn't built for this shit. So he picked up the scraps of his broken blades and left, having to take a long walk of shame all the way back home. So after Mr. Sabu got his whole life dream and sword shattered, the next character to get embarrassed was none other than the main character himself.
Baki, how you get embarrassed?
So real. I haven't seen Baki get embarrassed like this since he fought Yujiro for the first time. Like, this nigga got done dirty. So here's how this went down. Baki ends up going over to Tokugawa's house to confront this overwhelming aura he's been feeling uneasy about. And the person with that overwhelming aura was Musashi. So when Baki finally felt this man's aura near him, he threw a Pele kick, but his leg got cut off. Now, I ain't gonna lie, this was a pretty good psych gotcha nigga ass moment, cause he actually didn't get his leg cut off. It was all in his head. Musashi literally pulled up for 1 second, and his presence made him get stuck in a genjutsu. And the wildest part about it is that he still felt the pain of his leg getting cut off. So when Baki looks up from the ground, he sees Musashi standing over him and staring a hole into his soul. And the difference of what they saw when they stared at each other was just insane. When Baki looked at Musashi, he saw a mushroom cloud from a nuke, just pure destruction. But when Musashi looked at Baki, all he saw was free eats. It was Thanksgiving for this nigga. Nigga looked at him like a plate that you get at a family function that your grandma made. Catfish, yams, collard greens, mac and cheese, cornbread. This nigga was free food. So they ended up going outside to run the ones. And this is where Baki just got completely embarrassed. Baki went in for a kick, but Musashi gripped his ankle and lifted him with one hand like he was playing.
Hell no, ain't no grown ass man finna lift me by my ankle and then hold me like I'm a weapon. Fuck no. Then he pull out the blicky on this nigga.
Started to grip his ankle so hard, his ankle started to shatter while he was holding him up midair. Then he whips him behind his back and says, "Let's find out if he'll break."
Oh my God, he's doing him like Yujiro did. Oh my God.
He uses Baki's body like he would swing a sword and slams him on the ground, shutting his lights out. This right here might go down as one of the most absurd moments of all time. He grabbed the main character, yes, the main character of the show, picked him up like he was a toy, and used him as a human sword to see if he could survive his swing. That is generally one of the most mind-boggling, insane things I've seen. So Baki ended up taking a pretty good long nap after this. But when he woke up, he decided that he wanted to run the ones one more time. Now, I don't know why he thought that was a good idea, but hey, if you've taken as many hits to the head as Baki has in his life, the CTE demons in your head just take over at some point, I guess. So Baki comes out for round 2 and immediately throws a jab at Musashi to catch him off guard. And Baki actually drops Musashi to a knee for a second, because he actually had him stunned. But he gets up and just straight up tells Baki, "Yeah, so I saw that jab coming the whole time, and I could have just dodged it, but I decided to eat it." And Baki was just completely flabbergasted at this point. This dude basically just told him to his face that I just saw your fastest attack coming, and I decided to let you hit me so you can get a little morale boost.
Ain't his fastest attack is the roach move.
Musashi decided to take his actual fighting stance. And in this stance, 2 invisible swords showed up out of nowhere. Now, I don't know where the hell they came from, but my guess is that he just conjured them up out of his aura or some shit. So Baki goes in to attack him, but Musashi grabs his punch and stops him before he could even throw it. Then he uses his invisible mind sword to cut Baki down the middle and make his nervous system spaz out. So with one final attempt, Baki tries to hit Musashi one last time, but he blocks it with his foot and uses his punch as a bounce pad to land onto the roof. So Musashi looks at Baki on the verge of passing out and tells him, "Wow, you did impressive, little nigga, but I feel like indulging in more fun. Farewell, and thank you for the free meal." And when Musashi leaves, Baki just passes out and gets knocked out again.
2 for 2.
After Musashi slumped the main character twice in the same day, the next character to get utterly embarrassed was everyone's favorite bald nigga with an eye patch, Doppo Orochi. Now, the reason Doppo even knew Musashi was resurrected and back in the first place was because earlier that day, Musashi was on the news for beating up like 4 cops at once, and it was all caught on security cam footage. The first dude tried to get behind him and put him in a rear naked, but this nigga grabbed his nuts and crushed them into smithereens.
This nigga grabbed my nuts and broke them. No, he gotta go.
Look at the way he falls clutching where his testicles once were. This brother just got his manhood taken in 4K for the whole world to see on national news. Then he walks up to the next cop. The cop tried to swing but instantly got his baton snatched, and Musashi stares him straight in the face and slices him down the middle with his baton. Yes, your eyes do not deceive you. This nigga used a baton as a sword. And look at him on the ground. The nigga's having a seizure. Then the last 2 tried to jump him, but they both got air sliced and dropped as well. Now, this is what Doppo saw on the news. And being the crazy ass nigga he is, he saw that and he wanted to fight him to see if he was the real deal or not. So when they stood off from one another, Tokugawa asked Doppo to introduce himself to Musashi. So Doppo decides to introduce himself by breaking shit and showing off. He started punching through cinder blocks, slicing glass bottles with his hands, and then kicking a block of wood cleanly in half. And after this, he just floated in the air and tried to ore farm as much as he possibly could before gravity finally took him. Now, after seeing that, any regular person would be impressed. But Musashi looked at him when he was finished and was like, was that supposed to be martial arts or a dance, my nigga? What did you say, nigga? So when Doppo heard him say it was a dance, this pissed him off to the max.
Nigga about to tweak out.
Musashi just flat out disrespected his craft. So they squared up against each other, and these boys were ready to throw down. So Doppo decides to attack first with a headbutt, but Musashi does one of the most disrespectful things you could ever do to a bald nigga. He palmed his head like a basketball.
Dingling.
Like, dog. The thing that gets me the most is that he really started rubbing his chrome dome like he was.
Ain't nobody rubbing my bald head right next to his dick. Bail out the truck.
Polishing a
Bring
bowling
Barquitas.
ball. So Doppo bags up and Musashi takes his fighting stance, where he has his air swords drawn out again. So he goes into attack and Doppo parries the first sword, but his other sword came down and ended up slicing him. And Doppo is screaming, thinking that he actually got hit. But then Musashi started laughing at him. And when Doppo finally realizes that he actually didn't get hit by a sword, Musashi was just staring at him, fist cocked back and loaded. And he told him, "See, I told you, it's just all a dance, my nigga," and rams his fist into Doppo's face. Now, while he was rocked, Doppo decided to at least save some of his aura. So he stops himself and recovers into a one-handed handstand. Like, I'll give it to bro. Even though he's getting absolutely washed in this fight, Doppo made sure this ass whooping would not result in any type of aura loss. Bro got his bald head rubbed and knew he had to make up some points. So Doppo being Doppo and letting his CTE take over, decided, you know what? I want you to get a real sword so I can fight you at your full strength. So
Oh my
Tokugawa
God.
gives Musashi a sword that can actually withstand the power of his swing. And this ends up leading up to one of the most absurd KOs in anime history. So Musashi kept on talking shit to Doko, telling him, oh, you ain't no god of martial arts and all you doing is dancing and shit. So Doko got mad and tried to rush him, but Musashi swung his sword into Doko's face and slammed him into the ground, knocking him out cold. And he didn't even cut him.
Damn.
This nigga somehow held back enough strength while also putting out enough to knock a nigga out cold without the blade even splitting him open. That shit is the most absurd way to knock a nigga out. Like, this isn't even
Definitely.
remotely possible.
'Cause how?
This nigga
How the
Dopo should have been
fuck?
looking like Mecha Frieza when he pulled up to Earth. Split in two right down the middle. And then this nigga wakes up after getting knocked out like, well, damn, looks like he's the real deal. Like, my brother in Christ, you should be talking to God right now. Now, the next cast member
should
to
be
get
talking to
exposed
God right now.
actually did talk to God, and that was Reactz. Now, Reactz wanted to fight Musashi because he was bored with being a boxer due to dominating every person he fought. Also, he was tired of only being able to use his fist. So when this dude heard about Musashi, he immediately vacated his championship and said, I'm going to Japan, my nigga, because he wanted to challenge him to a fight. But not just to a regular fight. Reactz challenged this man to a fight to the death. This nigga wanted to have Mortal Kombat with Musashi. Now, I don't know why the hell you want to have a fight to the death with a samurai whose record is 60-0 in fights to the death.
Yeah.
But hey, we all act a little stupid sometimes. Hell, I went to a Chick-fil-A one time when I was baked and asked for a burger. And I'm not kidding. This was a true story. So this fight was basically like a WWE No Holds Bars Extreme Rules match. Everything was legal. Swords, nunchucks, tables, ladders, chairs, you name it, you could use it. Except for guns, because that's just flat out cheating. And you know what the crazy thing is? They did this in front of a live crowd. These niggas dead ass got off of their 9 to 5 and said, hey, you wanna
I
go see a
gotta
nigga
see
die?
this nigga die.
Hell yeah, bro. Like, is that not insane to y'all? They treating this shit like the Colosseum back in the Roman Empire. But anyways, the
Might as well
goes
be
off
in Baki
and
universe.
combat begins. So Reactz immediately rips off his jacket, and inside of it, it was loaded with at least 100 kunai in there. So Reactz just starts to PK fire the knives at Musashi, but Musashi started to dodge every single knife and even started catching them. Then to really just show how much of a different level he was on compared to Reactz, bro decided to cut the last kunai in half. So when Reactz finally ran out of ammo, he decided that his next best move was to use his shirt as a weapon. So this man starts to swing his shirt around, and it was sending a bunch of sand, dust, and teeth into this man's face. But this is the moment where I myself realized that this dude was just built different. He let this shit fly in his face without even closing his eyes. He didn't even blink once. He just stood there and took it. Bro had a whole rock fly into his eye, and he didn't even flinch. He was stone-faced the entire time. And when Reactz's attack was finally over, all he did after it was just shake everything off like nothing happened. And he called Reactz a child for throwing rocks and pebbles at him. So when Reactz was finally done spamming projectiles, Reactz decides to throw his shirt at him, and Musashi ends up cutting it in half. But this was a feint by Reactz, because after Musashi cuts the shirt, he gets clocked in the forehead by a 9-section whip and got dropped. So it seems that Reactz's plan this whole fight was to not let Musashi get close to him at all. He was going to have to zone him the entire fight, because if he let Musashi get close to him with his sword, he was a dead man. So while Reactz was swinging his whip at mock speeds, Musashi decided to mock Reactz again. He puts down his sword and lets Reactz attack him. So Reactz came in swinging, but Musashi dodged all the hits
What the
and grabbed
fuck?
both of the whips to make him stop and back without his weapons. Then Musashi looked at the chains and called them toys that can't kill anyone. Then decided to swing both of them like a sword and snap the chains like they were made out of wood. Now this right here was just straight up demoralizing to Reactz because he trained with that specific weapon since he was a kid, and Musashi literally picked it up for the first time, called them toys and snapped them in half. Bro just made all of his life work feel meaningless in the matter of seconds.
Crazy
so after
work.
Musashi did this, he did one of the cockiest things I've ever seen. He throws his sword at Reactz and says, "Why don't you give it a try? It's simple. All you gotta do is swing." So Reactz, feeling absolutely disrespected by this, decides to just smack Musashi with his sword multiple times. And when he knocked him down again, he told him, "I am a master of martial arts. Don't ever approach me unarmed again." And after Reactz did this to Musashi, this is when Musashi just became an absolute dickhead, because he just started to troll him for the rest of the fight. This nigga deadass threw his sword away, walked up to Reactz and told him, "I've approached you with no weapon, Mr. Martial Artist. Ooh, what shall you do?" So Reactz throws a punch at him, and Musashi catches it. But Reactz pulled out a Bianca Belair move and used his hair as a whip to smack Musashi in the face. Then he kicked him as hard as he physically could to rattle his brain and drop Musashi to his knees. Now, when it looked like Reactz was coming to finish him off, Musashi grabbed his peg leg. And this is where Reactz fell into the trap. The same one Baki fell into. Musashi picked him up, this 200-pound plus nigga, by the leg with one arm, swung his body back all the way and swung him again like a sword, smashing his face into the ground. Now, the most insane thing about this is that Reactz's body recovered and stood up, but he was still out cold. So Musashi had to walk up to him and grab his fist to throw him on the ground to wake him up. And right here is when you can see that Reactz was just out of it. This nigga had no clue where he was at for a second. He was clearly concussed. And Musashi was just standing over him like, "Get up, little nigga. This doesn't end till one of us are dead." So when React's brain finally started to function again, he gets up and starts to attack him. But now he couldn't even land a hit because Musashi started to block every single one of his strikes. So since Reactz was basically downloaded at this point, he had to try some new shit and pull something out of his bag. So he decides to take Baki's fighting stance to see if he could mix him up a little bit. But I don't think bro understood that this was not the move, because Baki himself got knocked out. Not once, but twice. So the fuck did bro think that this was gonna accomplish? So Musashi leaps at Reactz with a random sword he picked up and rams the blade right into React's face. Now this is another moment where a character should be dead. React's face should be split in two right now, but this nigga still has the ability to talk right now because he didn't cut him all the way through. So Musashi tries to finish the strike, but Reactz hits a counter and bicycle kicks Musashi in the face, laying him out on the ground. So it actually looks like Reactz did mad damage to Musashi right here. He looked absolutely stunned and was coughing up blood. So Reactz tries to finish him off with the Bruce Lee into the dragon curb stomp. But all of this was a ruse. Musashi was playing possum the entire time. He caught Reactz mid-air and wrapped the cord that was on his clothes around his neck. Then he continued to wrap up React's entire body until he was wrapped up like a present. This
nigga just BDSM'd you. Hell no.
Pure humiliation at its finest. And look at Reactz. He is about to start bawling his eyes out because he knows he's cooked. It's over. The whole crowd knew as well too. They was like, "Please, Musashi, have mercy. Please don't kill that nigga." But it was too late. Musashi picked up his blade, cut the cord loose and said, "Turn around, nigga." And when Reactz turned around, Musashi's blade came right down the middle. So Reactz tried to counter it like last time, but he ends up getting his peg leg cut off. And when he ended up bagging up, you knew it was over because he had a big ass line going straight down his body. Then like 2 seconds later, the wound opens and React's body just explodes in blood. Now this cut actually didn't kill him because it was too shallow. And also apparently Reactz learned some technique that can make him survive a cut of a sword. I don't know, some straight up bullshit that the narrator's trying to gaslight me into believing in. But I guess it worked. So since Reactz is somehow still alive, he decides to prep one final move. He got down into the same feral stance that Pickle uses. So Reactz leaps at him and throws a punch, and Musashi cuts right into Reactz's fist. But Reactz planned this so Musashi's sword could get stuck in his fist. So Reactz yelled at this man and said, "I got you." But Musashi looked at him with the classic, "Haha, you fool!" He flash stepped towards Reactz, hit him up, and hit him with an attitude adjustment. Then while he was mid-air, he hit Reactz with a clean strike to the back and cut him clean straight through his body. His organs were slashed clean through and his spine was severed. And after he landed that fatal strike, Musashi turned around and said, "You've done well," and leaves. This time, it was really over. That bullshit ass technique could only bail him out once. Cause once they started showing Reactz's backstory, you knew damn well it was a wrap. So bro fell to the ground, holding his stomach and coughing up blood, and thought to himself in his last moments,
"Damn, at least I tried. My only regret in life was not using code CJ for 10% off on Gamers Subs.
CJ,
if I
what the fuck, bro? CJ, no.
Actually decided to kill off a major side character like Reactz. And then I became even more shocked to figure out that this nigga got isekai'd into a spin-off manga. So I guess we gotta give Musashi an honorary Truck-kun badge or something, cause he technically boomed a nigga so bad he got sent to another world. So after Musashi isekai'd Reactz, the next dude to get cooked was this random NPC Kendo champion. Now, after the fight with Reactz, Musashi technically did end up getting arrested for killing him, even though they couldn't hold him with handcuffs and they had to call the entire SWAT team just so they could bring him in for questioning. But the police decided not to charge Musashi. They actually wanted to make a deal with him. And the deal was to fight Japan's Kendo champion, who was this random NPC right here. And this fight lasted a whopping 10 seconds. I'm not even kidding. Musashi just casually walked up to dude, raised his kendo stick, and smacked him on top of the head, one-shotting him. Every single person in the room just had their jaws dropped because they couldn't believe what they just witnessed. The Kendo champion of Japan got washed in 10 seconds flat. They was all looking at this nigga after he got knocked out like,
"Big dog, you supposed to be our number one. And you're playing like a bum."
Big dog, you're supposed to be our number one. And you're playing like a bum.
I bet you better start doing your job.
So after the Kendo champion got one-shotted, the next nigga to get exposed was Mr. Shibukawa. Now Shibukawa wanted to fight Musashi because he straight up tried to spin back for Reactz. This nigga walked up to Musashi after he knocked out the Kendo champ and said he wanted to shake hands with him. So they shook hands. But this was a trap that Shibukawa laid out. He gripped his hand while using Aikido and it made Musashi fall to the ground. Then Shibukawa looked at him dead in the face and said,
"This is for Reactz, nigga,"
and smashes his face into the ground. Now this was obviously a cheap shot, but Shibukawa did not care. Bro looked at Musashi when he got up and basically told him,
"Pull up in front of the motherfucking precinct and let's bang out. Right down the block. You know where it's at. You studied my whole neighborhood. Or pull up in front of the Kmart and let's bang out and let's do it on camera. I throw my life away and you throw your life away right now. I hate you, nigga. Let's die."
I hate you, niggas. Let's
was
die.
done talking this shit and was ready to throw his life away, Musashi just smiled at him and was like, "All right, bet." So Musashi speed blitzed bro in 2.5 seconds and cut him down with his air sword. Musashi was so fast, Shibukawa couldn't even react. Bro just had to stand there and take all the pain before he spazzed out. And then when Shibukawa woke up to shake hands with Musashi after the fight, Musashi just decided to mog him one last time. So he gripped his hand as hard as Shibukawa did earlier and mind cut this nigga all over his body after telling him GG's. Now that was everyone that Musashi just straight up exposed. However, there was one more character he had an interaction with, and all of y'all should know him very well. It was none other than the most disrespectful man in anime history, Yujiro motherfucking hard, my nigga. And ooh, boy, I tell you, I'm surprised a world cataclysmic event didn't happen when these two fought. Because we all know how overpowered Yujiro is in this universe. And we just witnessed how overpowered Musashi is. So the fact that the top two niggas in this verse decided to square off is generally terrifying. I'm surprised they didn't send the government to stop these niggas. But when I really think about it, what the hell are they gonna do?
Oh, God.
I mean, hell, Yujiro literally made America his bitch. Now, this is how this confrontation went down. Yujiro wanted to fight Musashi because Motobe straight up said, I don't believe that you can beat Musashi, and I will be the person to protect everyone. So Yujiro took offense to this, because even though Yujiro's not a swordsman like Motobe, Yujiro is still known as the strongest creature on Earth. So he went to Tokugawa's house to confront Musashi. Now, the way they got to start fighting was just hilarious. Musashi wanted to see if Yujiro was like that or not. So he tried to air slice him while Yujiro was just drinking some sake. But this nigga did not even react. Yujiro just straight up looked at him like, nigga, did you really think that bullshit was gonna work on me? Fuck wrong with you? Eat a dick, nigga. So this man cuts the bottle cap with his finger, and the glass lands on Musashi's forehead and he starts bleeding. Then Yujiro looked at Tokugawa and told him, hey, bald nigga, fetch that nigga sword now. Fuck the foreplay. We fighting right here, right now. So they wasted little to no time. They went outside and they were ready to throw down. So Yujiro decides to make the first move. He grabs Musashi's sword with his hand and tells him, think fast, Choco Nuts. So he slaps the shit out of this nigga and sends him flying, and this motherfucker is still hanging onto the sword. Like, look at this nonchalant bullshit. He farmed aura mid-attack, and just off of the first hit, he had Musashi looking cross-eyed. So after he got hit with that face palm of doom, this is when Musashi decided to lock in, because he finally had a worthy challenger. So Musashi decides to go on the attack. So he tries to slice him down the middle, but he ended up cutting his leg. Then he tried to slash him again, but Yujiro hits a nasty dodge. Dude jumps like 10 feet in the air and floated there for 5 seconds. And while all this was going on, Tokugawa was watching this, and this nigga looked like he was dead ass about to nut. Bro was on the sidelines like, oh, I can't contain myself, I'm about to like, I get it, bro. We're watching legends fight right now.
Hell
like,
no.
damn, bro, pop it out. So after Tokugawa was done glazing, Musashi swung at one of Yujiro's vital points. But Yujiro somehow saw this attack coming. So he dodged to make him miss his vitals, then grabbed Musashi by the wrist and gave him a receipt for that officer that got his balls crushed. Yujiro kicks Musashi in the nuts. Look at the pain.
Oh my God. That nigga vomited, I know.
This man is in. This kick to the balls by Yujiro was apparently the most pain Musashi's ever felt in his life. He said this felt worse than getting shot by an arrow or slashed by a sword. So after Musashi got hit by this, he got up and decided that Yujiro was a worthy opponent to try his secret technique on that nobody's ever seen. So Musashi gives up his swords and decides to fight barehanded. So he starts swinging on Yujiro with his bare hands and starts cutting him. Apparently, this is supposed to be the final form of his air sword attacks. And now this nigga doesn't even need swords because he is now the sword. So when Musashi ends up going in for another attack, Motobe just comes out of nowhere and eats every single hit that Musashi would have landed on Yujiro. Now, obviously, since Motobe did this ended up pissing Yujiro off because he interrupted his fight. I mean, the dude was so mad, he kicked up Motobe's unconscious body and just straight up bitch slapped him. And it got to the point that Musashi had to stop Yujiro himself because Yujiro was about to kill bro. But after this, we end up learning that Motobe actually took one for the team. Because apparently, if those attacks kept on landing, Yujiro would have died.
Damn.
Yes, this technique would have actually beaten Yujiro. Not gonna lie, when I first heard it, I couldn't believe it myself. Because apparently the nigga is stronger with his bare hands than his actual swords. Now, I don't know how the hell that makes any sense, but it's Baki, so I'm not asking questions. I'm just here for the nonsensical chaos. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is
What?
quite possibly one of the craziest videos I've ever
I want to know
And
how
apparently
he
part
was
2
gonna
is
be
coming
able
out
to
later this
kill
year.
this
And I'm
nigga?
hearing people say that he's supposed to be going on a rampage. So let me know if you want to see that. And hell, I'll probably give a roundtable verdict at the end of it. So with that being said, hope y'all enjoy it. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let me let y'all know this.
Okay then. Fucking that nigga can kill. Okay, hey, fuck it. But peace out, YouTube. Deuces.
Tell a nigga rob me in this bitch, smoking off the dope. I be stalking, and I got this hoe, be like coke. She be popping, in this hoe, flooding off the Mary. I be popping. Everybody that you fucking see, I done dropped it in this bitch like I'm Jesus. Raise a toast, I be godly. Me and twin like I'm Batman. He be robbing, red and black, spinning every day. We ain't stopping. Being dizzy on the way for the low. We gon' drop.